Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker, Jeff Marconette Jr. Hey, I'm very excited to see you tonight. I know this episode is going to be nothing short of any of the others. I always pick phenomenal guests for you guys to meet, and we try to help you overcome what you are going through in your life by explaining that other people have gone through things too and showing you how exactly they overcame those things. So, if you would please share this video out, invite all kinds of people to watch it, let them know that why you enjoyed this show, and don't forget to give us all kinds of comments and likes. Give us thumbs up, hearts, frowny faces, cry faces, angry faces. It doesn't matter. Just give us something. Help us trick the algorithm on Facebook. But with no further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Jeremy.
Oh, it's Jeremy.
Did I scare you?
No, it didn't scare me. I'm excited.
Oh, all right. Well, if you would like, Jeremy, you can go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm going to be inviting some friends here on my phone so they know they can watch too.
Awesome. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jeremy Roadruck, and I am a peak performance relationship and mindset mastery guy. I do a lot of work with men who are business owners, who have a wife, they have kids, and they're sharks in business. And sometimes they feel like minnows at home, or sometimes fish bait. And so I help them to clarify what's going on between them, and the things that help you in business don't always help you at home and with your kids. So how do you identify and fix a line? Not that anything's necessarily broken, not that you're necessarily bad, but it's just there's things out of alignment. How do we make it smoother, make it move further, farther, and faster? And currently I am located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I moved here the end of the month, or the beginning of the month, from Dayton, Ohio. So
You were like 20 miles from me.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. So now we're 1,700 miles from where I've spent most of my life, and life in Florida has been pretty freaking amazing. Sort of wish we'd done this move a little bit earlier in our lives, but hey, we're here now. We're making the most of it, and we are loving life.
No, Ohio is still better. I don't care. I realize the weather in Florida might be better, but you cannot say Ohio is not better.
Oh, no, I loved Ohio. I grew up there, and I've been there almost 40 years. So it's a great place to be from, and great values that served me and my family, and gave my daughter a great foundation. But we're kind of tired of the Ohio winters and having to weatherize. Our previous house was built in the 1890s.
Ooh.
So we had to weatherproof it every winter, and then the floors got freaking cold because the sub basement wasn't done very well. It used to be an old coal cellar, actually. So it was a very interesting house, a lot of character, and it's time for that season to change. And now we're down here, and it's been this. Today we had a small rainstorm kind of nowhere, and our backyard is very, very a lot of native flora and fauna. And Evie's like, it's like we live in the rainforest. And Evie's my 7-year-old.
That's cool. I really appreciate the reaction of kids these days. Mm-hmm. Well, the reaction of kids whenever. It doesn't have to be just these days. It can be just talking to kids. They're the way they look at life is just so much different, and it's so amazing. So
yeah, and they're so upfront with what they think and what they feel most of the time, and it's just there it is.
Yeah,
right there, nothing personal. Just here's what I'm thinking, and then you're like, "Hi, what do I do with this?" And so, yeah, I've been working with families for 27 years.
That's
and
cool.
I love it. Kids are just my favoriteest because they're so just there they are and
Yeah,
run with it.
me too. Me too. So I know from personal experience that there are a lot of people on Facebook. There's a lot of people on all kinds of social medias, and what they show off in their life or from their life is often the highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Absolutely.
like to show people that each and every person goes through things. They might not advertise it. In fact, I went through a severe car accident when I was 17. I spent 2.5 months in a coma and 3.5 in the hospital.
Mm.
I was told I wouldn't be walking right now, but guess what? Here I am. And I love to show people that they can overcome things in their life too.
Absolutely.
So, has there been anything that you've had to deal with?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Plenty.
Can you explain any of those, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I unfortunately experienced some very traumatic things at 5 and 6 years old in Saudi Arabia, as well as here in the United States. And that took me sideways for about 20 years. I didn't know who was safe. I didn't know what was safe. I didn't know who I could trust. And so I had to kind of socialize myself. I had to figure out, why do people say one thing and they mean a second thing and then they do a third thing? And why is there a discrepancy there? I don't understand that. At the same time, I was put in a place of constantly feeling like everything is life and death. Everything is survival. And I didn't have a way to explain it or even understand it. But you're 7 years old, you're playing tic-tac-toe, and if you lose, you're going to die. That brings a certain level of intensity. And I saw how other people were reacting to me and the recoil and the pulling back. So I learned to tamp down my energy and not say what I saw or not share what I was realizing. And I became a very good mimic and a very good chameleon. And I would hide and I would read the room and I would study people and how do I need to show up so people could leave me alone. And that became a pattern for a very, very long time. And the thing that started to get that to change was I started martial arts when I was 20. I had dropped out of college at that point. I was working in a sandpaper factory. And I'd always been interested in Asian culture. I had done cross-cultural religious studies at 12, and I knew a lot about Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, Zoroastrianism, Hindu, just a variety of different faith systems. And I was always drawn to the Chinese culture. And so I started martial arts at 20, and that became a fantastic vehicle to get my body, my mind, and my emotions to start connecting together. And it got me out of my head and it got me into my body, and it really began to build confidence. And I can create safety, not some sort of projection, or I'm using my mind to try and dominate people or argument or, logic, but just my physical being has an impact and has a presence that can make a change in people's lives. And that really began at 20 years old in martial arts. So now I'm a huge advocate. I taught for 27 years. I've had my own school. I closed it last year. Martial arts is transformative if it's done well. And it's amazing for families, kids, individuals, adults. I had students start in their 70s. Like it doesn't matter where you are. The right vehicle could help you get further if you're willing to take ownership. And I don't like where I'm at. Not that where I'm at's wrong. I want something more. Kind of like you did. You had a car accident. And a doctor gave you their belief system, their BS. You're never going to walk. And you're like, well, thank you for your opinion. And then you went and created a different reality because you had a different reality inside that you brought forward.
So, do you think, I know we called this episode "Learn That Everything Happens Because of Your BS"?
Mm-hmm.
What exactly do you mean by that? And do you think people can move forward past that BS?
Absolutely. So BS, right? Most people think BS, bullschniza, but BS, belief systems. And Henry Ford probably said it the easiest: think you can or think you can't, you're right. Whatever you believe is true informs your behavior. It informs your action. Now, I'm a trained hypnotherapist, among other things, but the story you tell becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes a form of hypnosis the stories you tell, the rationalizations, the justifications that drives your behavior, and your behavior, otherwise known, I like to say, as the games you play, but your behavior always drives your results. So if you don't like your results, look at what you're doing. Look at how you're interacting. And if you don't like that, go back to the beliefs. What do I have to believe to make a certain behavior reasonable? Because everything we do as human beings, there's a reason. Even if it's a wonky reason, like the dog told me to do it. But for some people, I mean, they take that as true. Well, the dog spoke to me and it told me to do this thing, so I did this thing. There's a reason there. So if we understand that, let's just start creating reasons, because belief, nobody is born a bigot. Nobody is born defeated, except that they get told that story, or they're a little kid. They try too hard and the adults yell at them or tear them down, or the kid does something scary and mom and dad freak out. You might die. Don't ever do that again. And mom and dad's limitations get put into that child, because the child was just doing stuff and they didn't know what was safe and what was dangerous. And so when we start to understand beliefs, this is what I do for my clients. I unpack limiting beliefs. I had somebody I was talking to just last week, and he talked about how in business he liked to be around a certain type of people and the give and take and da-da-da-da-da. But I also know he's got some limitations around how much he can charge for his services. And I kind of paused him for a second and said, can I coach you on that? Give and take is that creates a sort of a momentum inside you. But what about give and receive? Because this guy is a giver. So when he is asking for a lot of money, for him, it's a lot of money, but it feels like, oh, I'm taking from someone versus, but if they're willing to pay you for your time and your energy, then they're giving you fees and then you accept the fees. They're giving because the value you're adding is greater in their mind than the money to hold on to it. So instead of give and take, what if we start playing with give and receive? And because the people you're around, they like to share, they like to expand. You don't become a high net worth person by always take in a sustainable way. It's about, how do I give and receive? How do I create an even flow? So just that one tweak, he just gave me some great feedback earlier today. That one tweak in his language from take to receive, it's opened up his mind to some new business opportunities and some new relationships, because he's just in a different frequency. He feels different.
How cool. So I know from talking to you before that you overcame something like extreme self-sabotage and beliefs in your subconscious mind that led to that self-sabotage. So there are a lot of people out there in the world today that suffer from the same kind of thing. So how can they use your system to deal with whatever they are dealing with?
So for in my story, right, because I went through abuse at 5 and 6, when you're a little kid and bad things happen to you, little kids are egocentric. They only understand themselves and they only understand what they know and what they're aware of. So when I get treated bad, I'm being punished for doing wrong. Well, then I deserved this. And so some part of me believed I deserved to be treated badly because somebody else treated me badly. And that wasn't true. But as a little kid, you don't have anything else to go on. So when I started martial arts, I was 20 years old. I met one of my Kung Fu brothers, Master Chango Noakes now. But when I met him, I'm this scrawny white kid from the suburbs. I'm 142 pounds. And he goes to shake my hand, and he was a mid-rank student. I didn't know it at the time, but he'd already been training 20 years because he started when he was with his dad when he was 5. But he went to shake my hand, and I said, oh, I don't shake hands. And he's like, oh, why is that? And I said, well, shaking hands is a symbol between warriors and ancient cultures that I'm not carrying a weapon, but you're a martial artist. You've trained your whole body to be a weapon. That makes you a liar, and I don't believe in lying. And he hated my guts for 3 years and wanted to kick the crap out of me. And he did. And it was awesome. And I was like, dude, how'd you do that? Do that again. Because I actually wasn't that egocentric jerk that I came across as. That was my defense, because I believed I was worthless. I believed everybody else is going to reject me because I'm rejecting myself. So I'm just going to make you reject me on my terms, not your terms. So when you realize that, when you start to notice that pattern of that harsh pressure, I'm already setting myself to a low standard. You begin to start thinking, well, ask yourself, if you had a best friend and you saw them self-sabotaging, you saw them, cutting themselves off at their legs by the way they behave, by the way they act, if they were doing that to themselves, how would you encourage them? How would you bring it to their attention? How would you say, look, dude, I love you, but like I'm seeing this thing show up time and time again, and you're too amazing to allow that to happen. And then you think about how you would coach your best friend, then become your own best friend and coach yourself. Because when it's somebody else's problem, we know what to do. But for some reason, when it's our problem, we're helpless or we're lost or we're confused. So this is a simple technique. It's called a disassociation. I'm just stepping back from my frame to say, well, if I saw a person, not me, but a person, my best friend doing this, here's what I would do to help them, to encourage them. Cool. Now give yourself that advice and be your own best friend and start to give yourself the love that you need, the encouragement that you need, because that's where it starts. You can't give what you don't have. And if I wasn't accepting myself, at one point I asked my instructor, Grandmaster Ming, I said, don't you guys ever get tired of me? And he asked me a really powerful question. He said, yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup. Exactly right.
Yeah.
But I asked him,
fill your cup first, as you just said.
Well, I asked him, do you guys ever get tired of me? And he didn't answer it. He said, he did. He said, no. Why? Do you? And I didn't answer him, but in my head, I said, yeah, I do get tired of me. And that's how I started to realize this pattern of rejecting myself. So your self-talk, your inner dialogue, the inner conversation, whether that's pictures or words or feelings, because we all represent in unique ways, that's the doorway in to start noticing if I was amazing, if I was a wonderful person, what would I deserve? And then start treating yourself like that, and you'll start to feel more wonderful. Because the truth is, listening to an interview like this, you wouldn't be listening if you were a horrible person. You're somebody who maybe you got planted, everything feels dark. Maybe it's because you're planted for new growth. And it's up to you to choose the meaning, because meaning is always, you decide. Nothing has meaning except the meaning you give it. Someone yells at you, is that because they're mad, or because they're scared, or because they want you to hear, or because they're deaf? Don't know until you ask the question.
Yeah, correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome, man. I just have to say that I had never heard of that disassociation thing, and distancing yourself to look at the situation you're in. That's pretty awesome, man. I can't think of a better word, but that's really cool. I think that could truly help some people out there. And I hope everybody is watching this. We're here with Jeremy Roadruck, and he is telling us all kinds of ways that you can solve your problems by disassociating yourself from your situations and looking at it through another person's eyes. It's really cool, guys. So I ask you if you would please share this video out, invite all kinds of people to watch it, give us all kinds of thumbs up, hearts, frowning faces, cry faces, laughing faces. Just help us beat the algorithm on Facebook. So thank you guys so much for watching. But Jeremy, do you have any other suggestions for anybody else that might be going through anything?
Yeah. Winston Churchill, when you're going through hell, keep going. Because if you stop, where are you? Right? And the truth is, you can only go halfway into hell, just like you can only go halfway into a forest. Because once you go halfway, then you start walking back out. And I'll tell you, with social media, you're only as alone as you choose to be. I'm in a ton of dad groups. I admin several. I volunteer for a mental health response team for another one. And we have 24-hour coverage when dads are in trouble, when dads are struggling, when they're thinking of permanent solutions to temporary problems. We have a team of guys that are dedicated, like we're available and we're on it. And we do mental health checks every single month. We're like, hey, we use different colored hearts about, where are you at and what's going on for you, so that we've got 125,000 members. We have about 69, 70,000 that are active every month. But we're taking a head and heart check. Like, hey, guys, what's going on? Where are you at? What do you need? So there are people that are willing to support you and encourage you. Even when you believe you're worthless, the truth is there's people who think that you're amazing. And you're the type of person that they need and they want because you have gifts to offer. There's a great quote I'll share with you. It's from Jung, the psychologist Carl Jung. And he said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to prevent facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. When you own the good, the bad, the sideways inside yourself, the positive, the negative, the neutral, the light, the dark, all of it, you gain a power, right? When you step into fear and face it, you gain a power nobody else can give you. Only you can. And it's available anytime you choose to step in. And once you do, right, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. The challenge is doing it on your own. Cool. Friends, resources, allies, assets. If the people in your world right now are garbage and aren't going to help you and they're trying to keep you down like crabs in a bucket, get new friends. Right? Yeah. There are people that I dearly love that I haven't talked to in a really long time because their life and my life are moving in different directions. And I wish them well and I love them from a distance. But for me to move in the directions I'm moving and to make the impact I'm here to make, I can't keep lowering myself to where they're at so they feel comfortable. That's not fair to me. It's not fair to my family. So for me to stay true to who I am, I got to keep moving forward, and I can love them and I can release them to other opportunities. And who knows, maybe the seasons will come back together. Maybe they watched me from afar and it motivated them to make changes. But I'm not going to hamstring myself because they have limitations and they're scared for me to grow beyond them, because my nature is to grow. We're all human becomings, not human beings. We're not stuck. We're a process. And today, just 1% better than yesterday. In a year, we're 3,700% better because of compound ability. So those are some of the ideas that inform just the resourcefulness inside and the creativity and the playfulness, because like we're all worm food waiting to happen. So yeah, death is going to be there. Don't race to it. It's waiting. Just like the ground when you fall, the ground will always catch you. It's not always gentle. So, you know, we're all worm food at some point. So it's the time in between that matters, between birth and death. It's that dash. Make it a good one. Make it fun. And if it's not, let's figure out what's going on, you know?
That is fantastic. And it's well, first of all, I have to say how totally amazing it is that you are an admin for helping dads and you're on a mental health team for helping those dads and checking in with them by having them give different colored hearts. Wow. How many comments do you get on a post asking how these fathers are?
It depends on the time of day, but sometimes anywhere between 150 to 200.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
It is. And it really, because for men specifically, as protectors, as providers, when we feel worthless, when we feel like the things we're here to give to the world or to our families, when we feel like that's being blocked, we begin to believe we are the problem. And as protectors, to protect you from my failings, I'm going to remove myself. That's why a lot of times guys will abandon situations, they'll leave relationships. But the ultimate escape is I just end myself. I can never win this game. I'm just not going to play. And the incidences, divorced dads, 10 a day end their lives for whatever situations. It's 3 times higher than divorced moms. But divorced dads will take lethal action. And there's all kinds of studies to show divorced men, divorced dads, their health statistics are horrible because they don't take care of themselves. They don't feel worthy. And that belief system drives a lot of other behavior. And it doesn't have to be that way because it's just a story we're telling ourselves. It feels real. But when you start doing something new, I mean, when you learn to recover your body and make your body walk, I'm sure it didn't feel great at times.
No.
But your mindset and your will and your heart, where I want to be, was so much more powerful and so much more important. You were willing to deal with the temporary pain because you had a bigger goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the strategy, whether it's in our mindset, our heart set, our skill set. Like, no, I see the goal I want to be at. So let's get there.
Do you think setting goals is an important part of becoming the best you or living your best life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, set attainable goals. Set reasonable. I break it crawl, walk, run, fly. So a crawling goal is something step by step. I'm just learning this skill. I'm just building. Walking means make it smooth, make it works. I can do this now. Linking it together. Run, make it fast. Fly, make it amazing. I call that QWERF. Crawl, walk, run, fly. But it's just give yourself permission to stumble. But I'm so good over here. Okay, great. You're amazing there. This is a brand new skill set. So maybe you're going to suck butt for a little while, and that's okay. You'll get better with practice. That's all it is. That was the best I've ever done, and I'll get better with practice. It's a beautiful story. And if it's the first time you've done something, it's true. It is the best you've ever done. Yeah, it's the worst too, but how much fun is that? It's the best you've ever done, and you'll get better with practice. And that story leans you forward.
Concentrate on the good.
Yeah, focus on what you want to grow. Don't forget, bad language. Remember, more powerful. Don't run. But what do you really want? You want walk. So just ask the kids to walk. Because don't run. I was the kid. I'd start sprinting. Why are you running? I'm not running. It's sprinting. I listened. You're just sloppy with your language. So like I was the kid that gave teachers fits. Not because I was oppositional or defiant, but I'm just not going to be controlled. I will control me. Thank you very much. You will not. And every time they tried to squish me, I would go out sideways. And I don't care if I didn't get my outcome, as long as you don't get yours, you're not going to control me, nerf you. And so I didn't care if I got in trouble. What are you going to do? You're going to kill me? No? Okay, well then you can shut up. And you have a kid with that mindset. I just realized getting in trouble was like a waste of my time, and it slows everything down. So I stopped getting caught because be smarter. That's what most kids learn. They don't learn to do better. They learn to be sneakier.
You're teaching stuff that I don't want taught on this show now. But, no. Well, but I thank you so much for being on here tonight. And
my pleasure.
All right, I have to ask though. What's the weather like there in Florida today?
Let's see. Well, we had a kind of a big, huge huge rainstorm earlier. Let me see. Hold on. Not snowstorm. All right. It is 7:27 p.m. It is 86 degrees. It is partially cloudy, humid, and the mosquitoes are out 24/7.
Okay, Google. What's the temperature? It's 80 degrees here right now. Nice. The mosquitoes are probably out too, but
usually in Ohio they were usually out at night more than the day.
Unless you're me, then you just get eaten up all the time.
It's my wife. You're just sweet. That's all.
Yeah, I know. People have been telling me that my whole life.
Well, there you go.
But so, Jeremy, how can people get in touch with you if they want to? Say they want to join one of those groups.
Sure. Well, the big, huge group is called Dads with Daughters by Fathering Together. And they also have Dads with Sons. So there's two groups there. Those are both pretty big. The Dads with Daughters is massive. So there's those groups. I have my own group, the Unstoppable Mindset. And it's really about just getting your mindset into your control. I look at, instead of talking mental health or mental illness, I talk a lot about mental process. And let's just take the conversation instead of this health illness dichotomy, and you're either healthy or you're sick. Well, there's a process and a way of thinking that gets you to a certain result. And do you like that result or you want different results? Because then there's different processes. Facebook is where I'm most active, Jeremy Roadruck, the only me on the internet. And I also have a YouTube channel. I've got a podcast. I've been interviewed a bunch in various places. And I have a book for parents called Your Best Child Ever, Is This Game Worth Winning? Which is on Audible. So you have 5.5 hours of me coaching you in your head. But you can also get it as a paperback or Kindle.
Yeah,
it's the only parenting book with a money back guarantee.
It would be good to have you in my head for 5.5 hours.
Oh, I wouldn't want me in my head for 5.5 hours, and I am me.
I'm just messing with you. It would be smart for people to get your book, but I'm not a father, so.
Well, the cool thing is this is about how people create games. So if you have parents, it will help you figure out their games. If you have a relationship, once you begin to understand the pattern of how people create games, then you can create win-win games. Because that's the ultimate goal is I feel good, you feel good, win-win. Then we move forward. If it's not a win-win, there's no deal. Like I got to figure this out. So if my wife is stressed about something and she's not in a warm, big, happy place, okay. Am I in listen mode or am I in problem solving mode? Like I can immediately frame for her and she can tell me what she needs. And then I can show up to affect her and give her more stability, more certainty to help resolve or just validate. So the idea of how you play games, we're all going to play games, and we're wired to win the games we play. So if somebody can't win the I'm awesome game, they'll win I'm worthless, and they'll play that completely different game, and they'll be the best worthless person ever in the history of the planet. And that leads in not warm, big, happy places. It leads to small, sad, gold places. And so once you begin to see that, it's like, oh, it's like the Matrix. You start to see certain codes and you're like, oh, I get it. This person has this story, which drives that behavior. If they change this gets better. That's the work, right? That's the game is to go play. And we have Robert joining us. He left a comment. He said, what up, gentlemen? So Robert, thank you for commenting. It helps us with the algorithm. If anybody has complaints, by the way, for me or for Jeff, we would appreciate if you write your complaints on the back of a $20 bill and then mail it in. And we will get right back to you.
Yeah. Actually, I really would. I would get back to somebody if they have complaints. But
yeah.
Again, I'm going to thank you because I know you had kind of a time crunch there.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you so much for being here. And I hope you have a fantastic evening. But each person out there, including you, Jeremy, need to do me a favor this week, next week, for the rest of your life. You need to make every second count.
Yes, sir.
Why? Because you never know when your last second will be on your one life. I'll see you guys back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where we help you go through the things you were going through. You guys have a fantastic evening.
Bye.